Hey everyone, welcome to the Relicod channel. My name is Elizabeth. Today we're going to talk about what opportunities the Global Talent Visa in the UK gives you for work, for your family, and also for getting a passport. If you are not aware of what a Global Talent Visa is, it is a residency permit granted by the UK for a duration of 5 years. Given to IT specialists as well as individuals in arts, culture, artists, musicians, and also individuals in science field. Today we're going to dive deeper into the possibilities that this visa offers. She's really unique because you don't need any connection to the UK to get it, unlike all the other visas. In essence, it is advisable not to have an employer in the UK, not to possess any substantial investments, businesses, and so on and so forth. And she passes herself off as some specific achievements in the field, which, by the way, quite a lot of people as a rule can close this visa, these requirements. This visa is unique not only in terms of criteria, but also in opportunities it offers to an individual in the United Kingdom. Most visas restrict you and your actions within the UK. For example, with a skilled worker visa, you can only work for one employer, naturally the one who sponsored you for this visa. If you possess a postgraduate visa, you are also considerably restricted in terms of the activities you are allowed to engage in. This doesn't apply to the Global Talent Visa. And here we come to our first point, which is related to job opportunities. In the event that you are granted the Global Talent Visa, you will have the legal right to work in the United Kingdom for any employer. And besides the fact that you can work for any company within the UK, you can also work for any company outside the UK. A lot of folks like IT specialists who work remotely continue working for their employer for a while after moving to the UK while they're looking for a job there, for example. Either they keep working for their previous employers and it does not have an impact on your future, such as obtaining a passport. This is an entirely legitimate and fully authorized way to legally and lawfully exist and reside in the United Kingdom. In addition to being able to work for any employer, you also have the option to start your own business. And here you also have no limitations. You can establish a company and conduct any business, even if it is not related to the activity for which your visa was approved and granted. For example, we had cases where IT specialists started businesses in other fields like consulting, for instance. That is the only potential risk involved in this action, namely that it might come across negatively in future applications to the FEMG program. However, I am not aware of any such cases. Regarding the third option in relation to employment, it is the ability to be your own boss. Many people continue to work as freelancers after receiving the Global Talent Visa, and there won't be any consequences in terms of getting a passport if you do the same. The second thing you need to know is that the Global Talent Visa is one of the most open programs when it comes to relocating your family. If we compare it, for example, with a similar visa like EB-1A or EB-2NW in the USA, where you can only relocate with your spouse or civil partner, as well as children under 21. However, with Great Britain, everything is entirely different. If you obtained this visa, your spouse in a formal marriage has the ability to relocate with you. It can also serve as your partner in a common law marriage if you have not officially registered the marriage. However, in that particular scenario, you will be required to present proof of your relationship. For instance, demonstrate the joint lease agreement or the account to me, or photographs taken together, tickets, or any other evidence that shows your relationship, such as mementos or keepsakes. Usually this requires thorough work on the document package, but according to our stats, our partners consistently achieve a 100% approval rate. Partners always receive a visa. Additionally, you can also include children under 18, that is clear, as well as children over 18. In certain situations, you can also include them. So there are basically 3 criteria here. First, it's that your kid ain't hitched or married. Secondly, the thing is that he or she doesn't have any kids of their own. Thirdly, they are financially reliant on you. This can be proven with bank statements and so on. As you can see, the Global Talent Visa has a lot more room for relatives that you can bring with you. Many inquire if it's feasible to bring their parents as well as siblings on this visa. Officially no, but there are some types of visas, like for example the adult dependent visa. If your parents, for instance, require constant care, you can acquire this visa for them, and then they can accompany you as dependents. The third important aspect is, of course, obtaining a UK passport. Many individuals contemplate acquiring a second citizenship and specifically opt for Great Britain. And there are a few reasons for this. The first thing is that in the UK, it's a really strong passport. If you have a mix of a British passport and some CIS passport, then you can probably visit almost all countries in the world without a visa. And in accordance with this, the British passport also does not require you to renounce your original citizenship, as is the case with the Spanish passport, for example. And acquiring a British passport is a relatively expeditious process, typically taking just around 5 or 6 years to complete. What obviously, when compared to other passports, it is quite speedy. What are the significant steps here that you need to understand, comprehend, and be aware of in order to proceed smoothly? You have 3 stages for getting a passport. First, it's about getting a UK Global Talent Visa, for example. The second is obtaining permanent residency, known as ILR in the UK. And thirdly, this is respectively obtaining a passport. When you move to each of these stages, you need to meet certain requirements. For example, when you get permanent residency, you need to show that you have lived 183 days a year for 5 years or 3 years, depending on which type of global talent visa you currently have. Let me provide more info. They were also tax residents, meaning they pay taxes in the UK. If you satisfy these requirements, then you have the option to transition to PMG, and naturally, to obtain a passport, you must perform the identical action in addition. You'll also need to take an English language test, it's B1, and take a test on knowledge of British history. By the way, you don't need an English language test or a higher education to get a global talent visa. This will only be relevant when you're obtaining your passport. I also stated that if you obtain a spouse visa, then you must either reside in the UK for a minimum of 183 days per year within a period of 3 years, or within a period of 5 years. Contrast is massive. How can I know if I'll have to live for 3 or 5 years on this visa? Global Talent Visa divided into 2 types. These are the Exceptional Talent Visa and Exceptional Promise Visa. Exceptional Talent Visa for more experienced specialists. As a rule, it is considered that exceptional talent is suitable for you if you have more than 5 years of experience in your profession, whether it be IT, art, and so on. In that case, Claimant and some Standard & Poor are higher for the Exceptional Talent Visa. It's harder to get. Are other visas like the Exceptional Promise Visa created? Though acknowledging that a large number of specialists might have the potential to acquire a visa, but ultimately lack the exceptional talent required. And they did it under the guise of an Exceptional Promise Visa. Exceptional Promise Visa is for those with less than 5 years of experience. It's easier to get. It doesn't have such serious requirements as exceptional talent. However, the Exceptional Promise Visa lacks the same perks and advantages that the Exceptional Talent Visa provides. This privilege is expedited passport processing. If you have an Exceptional Talent Visa, you can apply for permanent residency in 3 years and then go for a passport in another 2 years. You'll get your passport in 5 years all in all. If you have an Exceptional Promise Visa, yes, it's easier, but it doesn't give you this interesting privilege of getting a passport through an expedited program. If you have an Exceptional Promise Visa, you'll obtain permanent residency in 5 years and your passport in another year. So in 6 years, the grand total will be 1 year. That ain't such a big difference. For many, in many cases, it's more beneficial to focus on the Exceptional Promise Visa, get approval for it, and live another year in the UK with the right to reside. But for many, this is quite important. Thanks for watching. If you're curious to know if the Global Talent Visa is right for you and want to assess your chances, come to us for a free consultation. We'll help you figure out if this visa is suitable, what type of visa is suitable, how you can possibly strengthen your case and apply for the Global Talent Visa in the UK. Take care.